Microplastics in marine and freshwater system detection and removal techniques. Did you know that by 2050 there could be more plastics in our ocean than fish? Sounds so shocking, right? Well, but the real danger isn't just the plastic bottles or bag floating on the surface. It's something much smaller, something we can't even see with the naked eyes. Meet microplastic, the invisible threat to our water system, marine life, and even human health. What are microplastics? Microplastics are tiny plastic particles less than 5 mm in size. Some are so small that they can even pass through the water filtration system, ending up in our drinking water. There are two main types of microplastics. First, primary microplastic. These are intentionally made small, like the microbeads found in the face wash, toothpaste, and industrial plastic pellets. Secondary microplastic. These come from the breakdown of the larger plastic like plastic bags, bottles, and synthetic clothes. Over the time, sunlight, waves, and wind break them down into smaller and smaller pieces. And the worst part? Well, these microplastics don't just disappear. They ended up in our river, lakes, and oceans, and eventually inside the bodies of the marine animals and even humans.
So now that we know that how dangerous microplastics are, the big question is that how do we remove them? So scientists around the world are working on finding the methods to remove the microplastics in the water. Let's take a look at three major methods from which we can remove microplastics from water, which are physical methods, chemical methods, and biological methods. Firstly, I will talk about the physical methods. So one of the most simplest way to remove microplastic from water is physically trapping them before they getting into the larger water bodies. Nextly, I will talk about the chemical methods. So physical methods help, but what about the microplastics which are already floating in the larger oceans? That's where chemical methods come in. So one of the promising technique is oxidization, in which scientists use special chemicals to break down the microplastics into small harmless elements. So lastly, I will talk about the biological methods. So nature has always found a way to clean up pollution, and some scientists have discovered that some microorganisms and fungi can actually eat microplastics. So this is all about the ways and methods by which we can remove microplastics from the marine life.
Next is how to detect microplastic in water. Did you know that microplastics are so small that they often go unnoticed in our river, lakes, and even in drinking water? These tiny plastic particles, less than 5 mm in size, pose a serious threat to aquatic life and human health. But if they are invisible to the naked eyes, how do scientists detect them? They use some technique called filtration and microscopy technique. One of the simplest way to detect microplastic through filtration. Scientists collect water sample and pass them through ultrafine mesh filter which traps even the tiniest particle of plastic. Once collected, these particles are placed under a high-powered microscope to analyze their size, shape, and the structure. This method is commonly used in labs and field study to estimate the amount of microplastic pollution in different water sources.